Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, I'm going to be talking about some wide receiver prospects that I want the Las Vegas Raiders to target in the 2025 NFL Draft, and I'm going to be breaking it down round by round. Here's one thing that I know. Las Vegas, we are absolutely going to be taking a receiver. We got 9 total picks, and no disrespect to this receiver room, it is definitely lacking, no doubt about it. I would sit up here right now and say that probably your top 3 target getters, if the season were to start right now, I would almost make the argument it might be Jakobi Meyers, Tre Tucker, and this might surprise some people. I could throw out the name of Kyle Phillips because of his connections to Chip Kelly, but even with those names that I just mentioned, we need another receiver. There's no doubt about it, and the Raiders have been looking at adding a receiver this entire offseason. If you're looking for draft content, I actually put out a video earlier in the week, this exact same style around the running back position. I'm going to do this with almost every single position leading up to the NFL Draft. If you want more draft content around the Raiders, make sure you're subscribed right here. So let's first go to round 1, pick number 6, and I'm going to talk about the receivers that I would be okay with at this current spot. I know there's going to be receivers that go in round 1. But at pick number 6, I can honestly look at everybody here in the building and I can go, there is not a single wide receiver that I would want the Raiders to pick at 6. I know that might shock some people out there because I have been a fan of Tetairoa McMillan, but I did just release a video on why that makes me nervous now and why I'm probably out on that idea. The receivers that I'm confident do end up going, though, round 1, I still think D-Mac ends up going round 1. Matthew Golden, Emeka Egbuka are going to be names as well. If you were to ask me out of these 3 names who I think the Raiders have the most interest in, I think it's actually Emeka Egbuka. He's just not going to slide to round 2. If the Raiders figure out a way to trade back in round 1, which is something that this team's looking to do, I actually don't think that the target would be McMillan. I think the target would actually be Emeka Egbuka. Let's go to round 2 here, pick number 37, and this is kind of the area where I could see the Raiders looking to take a receiver. Also, round 3 is definitely an area that I'm going to keep a close eye out on. Slowly turning into one of my favorite receivers and slowly turning into, if you were to ask me, Mitch, who's the receiver that the Raiders take early in the draft, not in round 1, I'm going to say it's Jayden Higgins, wide receiver out of Ohio State. Big inside-outside wide receiver with good athletic attributes, but his ball skills, you have to be able to see how athletic he is. He's got an unreal catch radius at 6'7". Like, he plays like he is 6'7" tall. A little bit of a limited route tree, not a lot of yards after the catch ability, but at 6'4", 210 pounds, if you're somebody that wants the Raiders to draft Tetairoa McMillan at pick number 6, I would actually say I would rather the Raiders just wait until pick number 37 and get them somebody like a Jayden Higgins, because when you look at some coaches around the league, what they say about him, Higgins is a dog. He's going to put in the time and he's going to put in the effort. I don't know if I can say the same about T-Mac. Let's go to another receiver here that I'll be real. I don't know if he's going to be available at 37. It really depends on who you talk to. There's some people that think Luther Burden is going to go in the top 20. Hell, there's some people that think Luther Burden is going to slide all the way to mid-round 2. Very hard overall prospect to wrap my mind around. Here's what I know. The Raiders held a private visit with him. That's going to be really important. He can separate. He can succeed on all 3 levels of the field. Kind of reminds me of a little bit better of a more athletic version of a Tyler Lockett when he was first coming out. He is insane with the ball in his hands, and I think he's great at being able to track down the deep ball, which is why I have him on this video. Like, if he's going to be a solid player for the Raiders would use him the way that Seattle used Tyler Lockett for so many years with Geno Smith, because the skill set, again, fits with what Geno does well, and that's throwing the football down the field. Another receiver that I'm going to keep an eye out for is the receiver here from Stanford. I love his blend of height, weight, long speed. He's got really good work ethic, which is something that I know the Raiders are going to be looking at. He's got traits also for rapid improvement. Somebody that got better and better and better when he was at college is something that this coaching organization has looked at a lot. Elic Ayomanor, I can't look at his name, and I always get it wrong. But this is a player, though, like when I watched him multiple times this past season, he did seem to show up when it mattered. At 6'2", 210, his game kind of reminds me, honestly, a little bit of a Jakobi Meyers. Not going to wow you with his athletic traits, but does a lot of the little things really, really well. This would be like the last option at 37. I'll be real. I don't love taking him here, especially with those other 2 receivers. If you could get him in round 3, I just don't think he's going to be available for you there at pick number 68. Let's go to round 3, though, 68. And if I was a betting man, I would say that round 3 might be the round that Las Vegas does end up targeting a wide receiver. And if I was a betting man, I would say the number 1 receiver most likely to be drafted by the Raiders is Jaylin Noel. Why do I say that? He is the only receiver so far to have a formal combine meeting and a top 30 visit with the Silver and Black. His acceleration, it's maybe some of the best that I've seen in this class. Great separation, the ability to run quick routes, which is going to be important. Also, it gives you some of that kick punt return ability, the yards after the catch ability. You can see it on tape, no doubt about it. 80 grabs, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns last season for the Cyclones. But because Jaylin Noel offers a lot of quick hitting intermediate routes, when you see Geno Smith when he's at his best, he was finding JSN on 3rd down. You add Jaylin Noel with Brock Bowers, with Jakobi Meyers, and I could see Noel honestly getting somewhere in the realm of 60 to 70 catches as a rookie. Let's go to another receiver, though. The Raiders have been looking for a true X, and I could see Tre Harris stepping in day 1 and being an X receiver on a lot of NFL teams. I don't know if I view him as a true number 1, but I can view him as a true number 2 because of that combination of size and speed that he brings to the table at 6'3", 205 pounds. He did improve his route running and contested catch ability, which shows the growth as a receiver that he can learn. Long strides and that 4.54 speed. He's somebody that's not going to wow you in the 40-yard dash. I don't give a shit about a 40-yard dash. The reason why he runs by people, though, so consistently is because when you're running at that speed and you got long strides, you run right by people. I don't want to make the comparison of DK Metcalf because Metcalf is far superior of an athlete, but if you were looking for a lesser version of a DK in round 3, I think Tre Harris is a name to keep in mind. Here's going to be the pinned comment, though, on today's show. Which round do you think that the Raiders end up drafting a receiver? We all know that they're going to take one, right? Like, we know for a fact Pete Carroll and John Spytek are going to end up taking a receiver. I want to know which round you think it ends up happening in. I'm going to sit up here and say I believe the Las Vegas Raiders end up taking a receiver on day 2, which is either going to be in round 2 or in round 3. And I kind of outlined a lot of those names that we just broke down on today's show. I'm a believer that one of the names that I talked about today will be a Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver, but only time's going to tell. Let's go to round 4 here at pick 108. And when I start getting into day 3, there is a huge tier gap for me from round 3 to round 4. I'll be very honest, but then there is another really big tier gap break after round 4 where I'm going to be looking for a lot more players that can help me in some different ways. First name is Savion Williams, and I'll be real, I don't think that he's going to make it this far, and I think it's going to be a receiver that somebody's going to take a chance on early, probably on day 2. To me, the reason why I have him here on round 4 is because of fit. He is a gadget athlete. He's got that nice blend of size, speed, explosiveness, very raw route runner. But if I was a coach and I was somebody like Chip Kelly, and I think good teams are going to find ways to just put the ball in his hands. Because at 6'5", 225, you could tell that he's a hell of an athlete. But imagine if like Cordell Patterson, a Percy Harvin are going to be some names that were 6'5". He is an alien of an athlete, and that showed at the NFL Combine. But because I'm not confident in his ability to be a reliable receiver in year 1, year 2, maybe, it's why I would wait until round 4 to go get him. If you're looking for a receiver, though, and maybe one of the most difficult prospects to evaluate right now is Kyle Williams, wide receiver from Washington State. There are some people that think that he could go in round 1. There are some people that think he is the best or second best wide receiver in this class. I will admit, when you watch him play, you are going to fall in love with him. A little bit of an undersized guy. He is fast. He is really, really good at being able to create vertical separation, catches the ball like a center fielder, doesn't have the best of hands, limited route tree, but he is dynamic with the ball. He can create a lot of those chunk plays, and when you put the ball in his belly, you see a lot of defenders look like that they're going on ice. He had 70 catches. He had 14 touchdowns from Inglewood, California. Kyle Williams is a really good wide receiver that teams are going to be able to get. It's just, I have no idea where he's going to go. I personally would target him in round 4 for the Silver and Black. Before we get into round 5, round 6, and round 7 wide receiver draft targets, huge shout out to our sponsor today, Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app out there. If you're like me, This is maybe some of the best time of the year, whether it's March Madness, whether it's the MLB, the NBA, basketball playoffs are right around the corner. On Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports. Combine your favorite baseball players with players from basketball, hockey, esports, and much more. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today and get $50 instantly. When you play $5, you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Also, I know like a lot of times I always try to do Raiders season long and just try to show you guys what you can, get in on. I am somebody where I'll look at more or less for Raiders, and it's just because that's what I know the most of. It's what I'm the most passionate about. But if you're not doing anything for the national championship game, if you want to go put more or less on that, hey, if you're planning on watching the game, I recommend that you doing it. But if you see Geno Smith 22.5 pass touchdowns or less than 3,500 yards, like that light bulb should go off in your mind and go, dude, that's an easy more. And then all you got to do is pick another one and you can put some money in your pocket. So if you're interested in getting started with our sponsor, Prize Picks, it does help us out a lot. If you download the app, use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. If you're trying to run your game, do it on Prize Picks because they like to say Prize Picks, run your game. Jugs and I use it. I know a lot of the chat sports guys use it, and it's going to make any time you watch any type of event a lot more entertaining. Let's go to round 5 here. The Raiders got pick 143, and there's a few names that I'm going to throw out here when we get a little bit to the later rounds of the draft. I'm going to be honest. I am way lower on Tez Johnson than some other people, and I know the Raiders met with Tez at the Combine. Personally, I don't think he makes it this far because I think if he makes it anywhere past round 3, the Denver Broncos are going to take him because he's literally brothers with Bo Nix. Though, when you watch him, yes, he had a bad 40 time. Yes, he is undersized. He, to me, though, is a lot more of what I would consider football fast and not a great underwear Olympics guy. But because he's got below average hands, because he's got a small frame, because he runs a limited route tree, I'm just not as interested in Tez Johnson maybe as some other people out there. But in round 5, this is phenomenal value. And because the Raiders met with him is the only reason why he's on this show. I'm not going to put him up there in round 3 where some people think he's going to go. I'm not going to put him in round 4. That's still early for me. At 143 is the earliest I would want the Raiders to take Tez Johnson. Though I'd almost make the argument, I'd rather you go out and get a guy like Nick Nash, wide receiver from San Jose State. He is an explosive leaper with full body extension help. That's going to help him win 50-50 balls. I also love dudes that love to compete. He used to be a quarterback when he was first coming into college, and then people, I think, realize, all right, you're not going to be a QB at the next level, but you want to be able to help us win and compete, and you see that every time this kid plays. He is super competitive. Hell, he might be the most competitive receiver in this year's class. He's extremely coachable. He got bigger, he got faster, he got stronger from, look at the way Nick Nash looked in 2023, and then look at what he looks like right now. That is somebody that said, you know what, I'm going to put myself in the lab, and I'm going to do everything humanly possible. That way I have the best season out there. The name that I've thrown out for Raiders fans is Keelan Doss. But Nash is way better than Keelan. And I hate saying that because Doss, is a player that we all love, grow up a Raiders fan. But if you're looking for the more athletic version of a Keelan Doss that also has insane work ethic, that's the type of player that you want to consider taking in round 5. Let's go to round 6 where the Raiders have 3 picks at 180, 213, and 215. I do have 2 receivers that I'm going to bring up here. The first one is going to be somebody that I would target at pick 180. The second receiver is going to be somebody that I target probably in the 213, 215 range. First name is going to be Isaac Teslaa, wide receiver from Arkansas, and great combination of an athlete where I know he might not look like Matt Collins, but when I watch him play, kind of reminds me of a Matt Collins dude. Great combine, had a really good senior day, which is going to boost his stock. He is a physical player. He loves to block. He loves to beat the shit out of people. He's going to be a good gunner in the NFL. He's going to be an unbelievable special teams player. And at 6'3", 214, his production wasn't great at Arkansas. You might be able to blame the offense. You might be able to blame the quarterback play. You could probably blame Isaac here. But there are players that it's hard to figure out how they're going to help out an NFL team in round 6 with his athletic ability, because when you look at just athlete, he is actually one of the better athletes in this class at wide receiver. He's just not a great receiver. If you want the Raiders or loved when Matt Collins played on this team, I think you would also like Teslaa as well in round 6. Let's go to Tai Felton, wide receiver here from Maryland. Another good athlete, but he just needs to fill out more. He is way, way too skinny, and I'm hoping if you get him in a weight room with a coach that can put some meat on those bones, you might see a little bit more out of him. He does track the deep ball over his shoulder really nicely, which I do think fits with what Geno Smith is able to do, putting that ball almost in a keyhole 20, 30 yards down the field. My area of concern for Felton, it's why I say, like, if he doesn't put on 10 to 15 pounds of like good weight, you know what I mean? He just needs to get bigger. He gets embarrassed by physical corners, where whether it's press man, whether it's like going up and get 50-50 balls down the field, whether it's like him just trying to get in and out of his route. If you're a cornerback that can be a little bit physical and he can't out-athlete you, is how I would say it, he struggles. When he can out-athlete people and he has a lot of catches, he's got a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns. They almost had to use him too much at Maryland because he was really their only player on offense, and I know that the Raiders wide receiver coach, Chris Beatty, also has a lot of Maryland ties. I don't know how much of them overlapped, but I also know how important relationships have been to this organization this entire offseason. Tai Felton is somebody I would look at, though, in the early 200s for the Raiders, which now takes us to round 7, and I'm only going to talk about one wide receiver here because at this point, you're looking for special teams. You're looking for somebody that can just be a good locker room glue guy. So guess what I'm going to do? The only player that I know for a fact has come out and said that he would love to be a Las Vegas Raider, Ricky White, wide receiver from UNLV. Now, the Raiders don't have to have a top 30 visit with him because he is a local guy, but the fact that he has already said, hey, man, I want to be a Raider. Also, he's like, when I watch him play, I don't think that he's going to be somebody that's going to be good enough to be a receiver in the NFL, but he is really good at being able to be a special teams player, rushing punters, jamming gunners. I mean, hell, Chugs was telling me, dude, have you seen this Ricky White guy? He's got 4 punt blocks in the year 2024. That's a viable player in round 7, if you ask me. And he had some good numbers. And I know UNLV had their issues at the quarterback position this past season. If he's somebody that can be your wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, I would look at him as somebody like a Christian Wilkerson, where everybody respects that guy and everybody knows that he is a limited athlete, but he does enough to keep himself on teams. If you could find me a Christian Wilkerson that also is a really good special teams player, that is a dude that I would love to be able to get in round 7. If you plan on tuning in with Jeremy Chugs and I for the NFL draft, I hope that you do, and I hope that you tell your friends, because last year we had almost 300,000 people. We went live for almost 21 hours. I think that this year we're going to do it a little bit bigger, a little bit better, and I hope you're here rocking with us on the Raiders Report.